Hi everyone, my name is Maor and welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered if reality is just a dream? Maybe the 7 billion people are just actors playing their different roles. Maybe everything that you experience is a part of a mass illusion or hallucination that we all go through together. If you have, and I bet most of you have, you won't be surprised to know that our reality is really not what it seems. And in this video, we're going to dive right into that. The question is, what is the definition of a dream? Because like death, a lot of us don't really know the answer. Where does the soul go when we decide to dream? A third of our life we spend dreaming. Most people dream 7, 8 hours a night. Most people don't remember their dreams as well. Some people say that it's the accumulation of the experiences that we go throughout the day, that we actually go during the nighttime to the lower astral planes, some of us to the higher astral planes, which is somewhere between the 3D reality and the 5D reality, where our higher self actually resides. And there we experience different things. We guide those dreams. Our subconscious, our higher self, wants us to experience things. Sometimes it's a deja vu, us being able to view into the future, into a potential future, bring back that information with us and actually experience it. Sometimes we need to experience a certain type of death because it's a release of karma of some sort. In the dream, like in reality, there are a lot of similarities. I can tell you from my own experience, I've done 2 courses of lucid dreaming. Lucid dream is a state where you actually wake up inside your dream. You're conscious and therefore you can actually control the dream. A lot of people think first thing they want to do is go through a wall. The second challenge is to sit inside a fire. Some people want to go out and have sex with different people. Everyone has a different experience, but imagine that you are conscious within the dream to some state, and that is the lucid state. And because I have all these experiences with lucid dreams and I've practiced it for so long, I've come to an awakening, awareness, and realizations. The reality is so similar to a dream that I would say reality is built like onion, layers upon layers of dreams within a dream. And perhaps we are actually just God's dream. When you begin waking up within your dreams, you start seeing the different similarities. The first is that the dream state, you can actually intend where you wish to go. Now, because it's not the 3D reality that is limited by the time and space, in the dream state, you can actually will and go there immediately. That also means that you can visit someone in their astral form. You can go to the pyramids or to another physical location only by using your intent. Okay? In our reality, physical reality, our intent and our will also manifest things into existence. Most people don't know how to use it in the right way. I have a whole online course about how to use our manifestation abilities. We do that by controlling our beliefs, our emotions, and by our will. Because if we believe we deserve something enough, and we don't have the doubts and the fears, we actually change, the whole universe changes and conspires in order to bring us that thing that we actually intend. And there is a difference between wanting something and intending. I can want to exercise three times a week, but if I intend to do it, it gets a much more energetic manifestation energy, if you want to call it that way. In other words, when I raise my standard, I'm actually changing my will. And it's very different between wanting. We all want some things, obviously, but we don't all intend on doing them or intend on getting them in our life. The most successful people in the world, their intention actually brings the results because they believe in themselves so much. And this can be about anything. It can be about money and economics, jobs, it can be relationships, it can be personal aspirations. The second thing is the theme or the structure itself. In other words, the dream has a theme. You have come here to do something, to learn something from that experience, from that particular dream, whether you remember it in the morning or not. Otherwise, your subconscious, your guidance, whoever created that dream, which is actually basically you, wouldn't have created it in that way. And in reality, the same thing. The theme are the things that you cannot really control. In other words, your height, your potential IQ and EQ, the country that you were born in, your parents, the background that you gave the story in order for you to go and embark on this amazing journey, in order for you to learn a couple of things about reality. If we're looking at the bigger scope, you're a part of an incarnation series, and in every lifetime you learn something very particular in order for your soul or your higher soul to achieve mastery in some certain field. In other words, every life you experience something a little bit different, that is a little bit moderately different than the other lives, in order to achieve something that is greater, in order for your higher self to learn. The same thing in a dream. It's just a substructure of that. In the dream you have a theme. You meet a particular person, you go for a particular experience, you embark on your own journey. It is you that is actually experiencing the dream itself. You can never see yourself from the outside in a dream. You always see yourself from the inside, but in a different way, by the way. The third thing is the mastery. When we achieve mastery of controlling our dream, we can also achieve the same type of mastery in our life. In the beginning, as babies, as children, as mature adults even, we don't understand how much control we have over our reality. We think that the reality, just like the dream, is a subset of external circumstances that we cannot control in any way. With time and maturity, spiritual maturity I might add, we believe and we see that we are actually controlling reality according to our beliefs, according to our intentions, according to how powerful co-creators we believe we are. And the same thing happens within the dream. In other words, reality is not just an arbitrary amount of atoms put together, but there is a structure to it, there is an intelligence to it, just like in the dream state. But I'd like to ask you, what do you think about reality? When you ask yourself, when you close your eyes and ask for guidance, is reality really like a dream? And write it down in the comments here, what your opinion is, because I've heard crazy stories about different things about reality, not just the dream state, about the illusion, about the one soul, about only 500 actual people here and everybody else plays a role, because, in a dream, everybody has, you're the only one, supposedly, and everybody has a different role to play, a different job, in order for you to learn. And that's what I felt for many, many years, that I am playing a certain role in order to awaken certain people, and other people are playing the same thing with me. When I go to sleep, I actually go and I learn much more in the dream state. So I'd love to hear your opinion about this. Just write it down in the comments and I'll review them, and we'll have a chit chat, as one might say. You should consider this. If the reality really is a dream, and by the way, in the books Seth Speaks and all of Seth's material, he explains how reality is sort of like a mass illusion that we all conjured up together. What happens when we die? What happens when you wake up in a dream when you die? You wake up suddenly and abruptly, and then you're like, oh, okay, it was just a dream. So imagine what happens when you die here. So you have all this panic, maybe it was something like it was a surprise, maybe it was you're building up to that, like with the Buddhists that know in advance that they're going to die. But you wake up from that, and again, you say, oh, it was just a dream. And then you remember who you were. Because what you are here is just the end of the pinky. And what you are there is the whole body, the whole consciousness that remembers. It remembers the incarnations, it remembers the different souls, it remembers the soul family, it remembers the actual state of being that is more godlike. We don't have that there. What we have here is a very short journey with a specific personality that is able to cope with the different experiences we pre-chose or predestined ourselves to experience. So we don't want to remember who we are here. We only think we want to. Otherwise, we would have remembered. But God limits us, or the Creator limits us, in order for us to have the tools we need only for this specific journey. So when you wake up in this dream, reality, and you wake up there, in your true self, you will suddenly understand much more about yourself. And again, there can be another layer of the onion. In other words, it can be in another mass hallucination that is a dream, with a different set of rules. Because the dream state here has a different set of rules than the dream state there. There's certain things that we can do, there's certain things that we can't. Think about it this way. Have you ever remembered your cell phone in the dream? Have you ever looked at your hands and they didn't look too big, small? Sometimes there were 4 fingers. Have you ever tried to find the switch to turn on the light? There are many, many things that you cannot do within the dream state, because those are the physical laws of the dream. So reality is very, very similar to a dream state. When you practice enough lucid dreaming, A few of the practices, I have a good video about that. A few of the practices is to keep a dream journal, to always question reality. In other words, you a few times a day, you just stop. You ask yourself, am I in a dream? How did I come here? If I'm in a dream, I won't remember. Can I try to fly? Do my hands look a little bit weird? Sometimes I look at the watch to see if the watch is acting a little bit weird or different colors and stuff like that. When you practice this many, many times or for a few months, you start hallucinating that reality is an hallucination and you never really understand if you are dreaming or not. Because you do the same, because you're getting into that habit, you do the same thing when in the dream state. And in the dream state, you don't remember where you came from. You do try to fly and you're capable of flying, and then you wake up within the dream. That's why you do it, by the way, because you program yourself to do it every few hours, and then you do it automatically in the dream as well, because it's just a projection of our subconscious, our programming, our habits. So when you think about this, ask yourself, is reality a type of a dream? Because our definition of a dream here is a little bit different. The answer that you will get from your guidance is yes. You should ask yourself why. And you should ask yourself, why do we need to sleep 6 to 8 hours every 24 hours? Why? Can we take short naps? Why do we need the dream state? Where do we actually go? Why does the soul need it? Not just the physical body that needs it. Ask yourself, are there any animals or other planets or civilizations that don't need to dream? And why? What do we do in the dream state? And why do we have to have it? And you will find out that reality is a dream, and we have to link up, just like in the Matrix, that they had all these connections. Occasionally a person has to have a dream in order for his soul to sink into the higher soul. In other words, we are accumulating experiences, and then we upload those experiences in some way, download new experiences, download potential futures for the future and stuff like that. That's the thing. A person cannot live without a dream. And therefore, in the higher state, because of reality, like we said, is a type of illusion, a type of a dream by itself. When we wake up from this, there will be another dream state for us, another higher self, another story to be told. So, I really hope you enjoyed this video, my friends. I think that understanding that reality is a dream and type of illusion really changed my whole experience in reality. It made me feel actually a lot more comfortable in my body, a lot more comfortable in the physical reality. Understanding that, it's not really the end. Sometimes it can be a nightmare. Sometimes it can be one of those amazing Walt Disney type of dreams as well. Reality fluctuates according to our belief. But really, just take it easy. You know why? Because one day this dream is going to be over, but a completely new dream is going to appear. So thank you very much for watching me, my friends. Thank you for your time, and thank you for choosing my videos over other people's videos. I don't take it for granted at all. So, namaste, and I will see you in my next video.